is News Talk.
Gone 6 o'clock, you're welcome back to Off the Ball. Adrian with you until 7, and I'm still here in studio. Roisin Byrne, the Kildare forward, Ciara Trant, the former Dublin goalkeeper, is at Croke Park, so we're going to pick through the bones of Dublin 216, Meath 10 points. The speech seems to go on for an awful long time, Ciara, but it's wrapped up, I believe, is it?
To be honest with you, I didn't know. I was, Jesus, tears and snots. I was so emotional. I didn't pay one attention to Carla's speech. I apologise to her, but it's just having a personal connection to the team and just seeing some of these players that you soldiered with. It's class. Like
a lot of them who are on the record, like Hannah Turl and others who are going out, and a few more that might follow. Like there's almost, I know that people have talked about it a little bit like The Last Dance. Is that part where that emotion is coming from?
Yeah, probably. Like Martha, Byrne and Leah Caffrey the last ones to lift the cup there, and like they were my full backs the whole time I played, and like you might, as a goalkeeper, you might as well be playing in the full back line. And then I'm looking at Kathleen Colreevy, and it's only people that have played for Dublin or are really into Dublin that know who she is. She's been the FLO for Dublin ladies for probably before I was born, I'm not even going to lie. And just to see her down there, she has more All-Ireland medals than any Dublin ladies footballer has, and it's fantastic. Just this occasion for her as well. It's just brilliant.
And given the bit of hurt, I presume Ciara feeds into that as well.
Yeah, I suppose nothing ever makes up for losing an All-Ireland final. If I go back to the Cork days where Cork beat us 3 years in a row, and then eventually we went on to beat them, and it never felt like a revenge. It never felt like it made up for the years we lost or anything like that. Like, with the turnover of players in ladies football, every year is nearly a new year. So yeah, this is sweet, but every All-Ireland final is sweet, and yeah, an element that feeds into that is beating Meath, them beating us in 21. But it doesn't matter what opposition you're playing against. When you win an All-Ireland final, that's just all it's about. Like, you forget about everything else.
Yeah, that's lovely. I must say, to hear the emotion come out in you, because oftentimes we have pundits in studio or at the game, and they sort of save that stuff, and you're obviously, there's a lot of connections there. I presume the plan at some point will be to get the text in and get the hell out of there and join the celebrations wherever they're at.
Yeah, there's a few of us, a few retirees are going to meet up later and then see. But look, I'm a teacher, so I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow now or where I might end up.
As in, yeah, the slate is clear for the next while.
Who knows? But, and no, look, it's great to be a part of it, and we will celebrate. There's a gang of us meeting up later, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank God it's for celebrations.
So take us through the 2 year. Take us through how you view this now, and the dust has settled, and you've gathered your thoughts about the whole thing, because I think certainly as it was ongoing, we were trying to get our heads around why Dublin were so dominant. What's your conclusions, Roisin?
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it exactly, because like you said, Meath showed a few glimpses throughout the match there of what they were capable of, but Dublin's consistency, this is the thing, is you can do all these amazing things in a match, but I think a true sign of class is consistency, and Dublin held consistent through that whole match. Even when they clearly took the foot off the pedal in the second half, they were still just etching points off the board. They just kept going, and I think as well, you have to look at depth in the panel, and Dublin just seemed to have, I've said it before, Dublin's second 15 would probably start on most county teams in the country. Katie New getting injured was a huge blow for me, and then Marion Farrelly coming off and then back on again, whereas you look at Meath or Dublin are able to sustain those couple of injuries. Obviously it's really upsetting, that Laura McGee got that ACL injury this year, and that must have been tough for her, and Caoimhe O'Connor getting the hamstring injury, but Dublin have such depth in the panel that they can afford to lose one or two players and still be the Dublin that they are, whereas I just don't know if many other teams in the country have the depth that Dublin have.
And from a Meath point of view, they're not leaving this game going the management ticket can talk about. We chatted a little bit about the Marion Farrelly coming off and coming back on a bit and maybe about some of the hunger and that sort of stuff, but they're not leaving this game going, geez, if only these couple of things had to come together, they were a million miles off it.
Yeah, Dublin were just a lot better today. I think you play another match in a couple of weeks' time, they might be a bit closer, but I think 9 times out of 10 Dublin are coming out on top there, especially when they're able to perform to the level that they're capable of. I feel like they're probably unbeatable when they're playing at their best. Yeah. So, you know, a part of me would need to be hoping for a Dublin underperformance today, but they didn't get that.
Given the newish management ticket, Ciara, and like obviously they come from different roles, and like you've mentioned about some of the players sort of disappearing now after this, but like, what's your sense of like where Dublin go from here? Because they obviously have got an exceptional team. They have a winning formula. It's going to be very tempting for some of those players who might have been thinking about the exit door possibly now to hang on, given the dominance today.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely. And picking up on Roisin's point there about the depth in the panel, there's a lot of girls in that Dublin team that didn't make the panel over the past 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. You know, older players that were dropped off panels and kept going and kept going. So even that kind of reserve pool in Dublin that aren't making the county panel still have something to give. And like, we look at Laura Grendon coming on there. This is her first year playing senior football for Dublin, and she's coming on in games and she's contributing. I think she should have taken her, she passed the ball to Carla Rowe here today, and she should have taken her own score, but she did in previous games. So we do have that depth. We have young girls in there now. I'm looking at my own position, and Katie Moore and Toy, phenomenal goalkeeper. She's going to be the best goalkeeper in Ireland without a doubt. I've seen her through underage. She's phenomenal. So next year the competition, even for a goalkeeper space, is going to be red hot, and the experience they're going to get from playing in Croke Park today, from the whole occasion, from the training, the preparation, from seeing the older players go through it again, it's going to stand to them. But you know, we'll enjoy the celebrations, but come January, February, Dublin have to kick on. With the pool of players and the amount of girls playing Gaelic football in Dublin, we have to kick on. And the minors got to the All-Ireland A final this year as well, which we haven't in a long, long time. So the future is bright, but hard work still has to be done.
Yeah, I'm sure there's music to your ears, Roisin. What we discussed the player of the match, Orla Nolan, I think picked up the official one. You were leaning that way, Roisin.
Yeah, I think it's unbelievable. I think she's a testament to injured girls, to show what can be done. And you know, especially like if someone in that camp like Lauren McGee who sustained an injury, like that must be like lightning for her to see, you know, this is where you can get to with the hard work. And I'm sure Lauren will put in that work, but I just think there's so many. It's like an ACL injury is just an epidemic in ladies football for whatever reason. Like, I think you look at the Kildare panel, there's probably at least a third of them have suffered that injury at some point. But I think to show like what's capable, putting your head down and working hard, and I thought she was phenomenal today. Her turn of pace is unbelievable, and she's just so in control of the ball. And Ciara mentioned at the start of the match that Dublin were playing with such width. She was someone holding such good width. She'd make a dart and run down the sideline, and she'd cut in, and she got a couple of scores off that. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with her today. But in a kind of bigger sense, I think it's really good for women athletes to see, like, you know, you can suffer a really hard injury like that and come back and be better than you were before.
Ciara?
Yeah, look, playing with Orla Nolan, I remember when she came into the panel and we were all blown away by what she could do on the pitch, but she was so quiet off the pitch. And over the years, she has grown into a leader. Like Roisin mentioned how Carla Rowe is like having a manager on the pitch. So is Orla Nolan. She is so intelligent, and she's one of those players that it doesn't matter what sport she plays, she's going to be the best at it. She's going to excel at it. She's absolutely phenomenal. And part of it is she's in there because maybe Lauren McGee and Caoimhe O'Connor got injured. That shows the depth in the panel, that they were competing for places. But that's Orla Nolan's first start in a long time. She's been struggling to regain her jersey. So I'm delighted for her to get the Player of the Match award here today. She had a fantastic game and just controlling the game, knowing when to slow it down, when to speed it up. It was lovely to watch.
We spoke about Hannah Turl when she obviously went down with that injury, and she was tugging out of that whistle there, whatever it was, towards the end to try and get her back on the pitch for the celebrations. But I think when we talk about some of those players that might come back, it feels very, very unlikely that she would be one of those. And what a way to go, Ciara.
Yeah, it looks like an ACL, so that would rule her out of the majority of next season. But look, I thought I'd recovered from crying, and then I see on the big screen Hannah and Aoife lifting the Brendan Martin, and that's lovely. Like the last time you know, it was front page with Aoife sitting beside Hannah looking at the Brendan Martin, and now she's there to lift us. Like, what a story. But like, being injured will frustrate Hannah, but like, it's not going to stop her. She'll be back in some form. Definitely playing club football anyway, but he wouldn't be surprised if she can't resist it and rejoins the panel next year.
And like her display today as well, like for a final, obviously, you know, so we spoke about the stats around her free taking this year, and like she was again just absolutely clinical.
Yeah, she got 5 points today, but she made all the right decisions. So when the shot was on for her to take it, she took it. And when it was somebody else's shot, somebody else's score, she gave it. She wasn't selfish. She never is. I thought in the second half, Dublin didn't feed her enough ball. Dublin played down the Hogan side. Hannah was free over on the Cusick stand for a lot of the second half. Just couldn't get the ball switched over to her. So 5 points could have been 10.
Yeah, she's amazing. What was your impressions of her, Roisin?
I just think she's a class act. I'm delighted, because I know Ciara was talking about at the start that she's probably had a couple of performances that she wasn't overly happy about, but I think she did herself very proud today. And like, obviously it's a horrible way to end it, but it's kind of bittersweet as well. Like, and just like we said, when she's walking off the pitch and she's giving thumbs up to girls, and obviously she's in immense pain, but she's still giving words of encouragement. I think she's brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing. Going forward from a Dublin point of view, like maybe there's a bit of uncertainty almost. Like, I know even after last weekend, everybody's straight into a conversation about, like, you know, are Donegal even the second best team in the country, and like, you know, where are the odds at for next year? But like, just given that turnaround, Ciara, it's hard to, and like, listen, the goal tape is hardly on the ground there, so maybe we won't get too deep into it. But in terms of where Dublin go for 26,
but just on the goal tape thing, there's none of it left on the ground. The kids are taking lumps out of each other, fighting over it. It's amazing.
Loads to go around, lads.
There's things being thrown over it here. But no, look, I think like a lot of the management team have been around a long time, and I'm sure a lot of them will step away now after this. But they are breeding new players in. Like, this is Martina Farley's first time in the senior setup as a management team, former player. I'm sure she has eyes on staying involved in that, even at a bigger capacity. You know, again, then we talked about the players as well. The girls will step away, and it happens every year, and sometimes it's big leaders and sometimes it's not. Like, we thought in 2014 that we've lost loads of players, that Dublin are in transition, and we got to the next, I think, was it 7 All-Ireland finals in a row after half the team stepped away. So experience is worth more than you actually acknowledge. And we've got serious players there, like young leaders. Niamh Crowley, Niamh Donlan were immense at the back. You've Hannah McGuinness playing midfield. Sophie McIntyre won a ball there at the end of the match, and like, it's only a slight little thing. If she came up before you, there's no way you would have thought that she plays inter-county football.
She in the full back
would
line?
win a ball like that. She found herself in there, but that's not her natural position.
Okay.
Like, she plays out around
I saw
the middle.
that. She was very slight looking. It was
so like, what's in, there's a bit of dog in those Dublin players. So, you know, the future's there. But like I mentioned, it's getting to an Ireland final is hard work. It's a lot of slog. So, you know, and there's no guarantees either. So, you know, if Meath and Dublin aren't in the finals next year, like, that won't be a surprise either, because of how, I suppose, competitive and even the field has become.
Yeah. Place is pretty much emptied out there. I can hear the seagulls in the background.
Yeah, there's loads of them. They better stay away from me.
Any sign of any players out on the pitch doing the final goodbye type thing? Or are they gone in yet, or are they still out?
No, they're taking a team photo here at the moment. They haven't left the tunnel area. I'm sure they'll do a lap. There's lots of young kids down pitch side looking to get autographs and pictures and stuff like that. So they'll be around for a while. There's never any rush to leave Croke Park.
Yeah, absolutely. And why would they? Your coverage throughout the year, Ciara, absolutely first class. Enjoy this evening and beyond.
Cheers. Thank you, Adrian.
Good luck. Ciara Trant, former Dublin goalkeeper, on the line there. It's lovely, that emotion that comes out, and the connection. And, like, you know, as I said, oftentimes with pundits there, fellas who'd be, you know, equally as attached, but you don't see that emotion. So it was nice.
No, it's good to see it,
to come across. As we put the bow on the year, I know we'd chatted a little bit about, you know, where the game is at. You know, I mentioned the attendance is just a bit short of 50,000, which feels like a positive story out of the year. And then, like, it was funny looking at the pitch even today. You know, you could see the remnants of the 40-metre arc, and it sort of reminds you about, like, every player we're hearing from at the minute is kind of saying, geez, could we, you know, as we move towards, is it 27?
27, yeah.
Amalgamation is supposed to happen or whatever. But as we move towards that and we see the benefits that the new rules have brought to the men's game, is there a possibility? What would you like to see if you had 2 or 3 magic wand and 2 or 3 rules you'd like to change?
Right. Like, first of all, I would love to see the mark coming in. I think now the big difference in the men and the women's game is that men are taking the kickouts off the ground. It's much easier to field the ball when it's kicked off the ground than out of your hands. So the Kerry goalkeeper this year is taking her kickouts off the ground. Like, I'd love to see that coming in. And the thing is, there isn't a huge amount of fielding at the moment from kickouts in ladies football, but that's because, like, is the risk worth the reward? You know, if you introduce a mark, it's the same way that you see shots being taken further out this year with the men, because there's like a risk reward.
Kick out from the mark from the kick out only, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that.
And sorry, this is an absolutely idiotic question, but why is it easier to field a ball from the ground than out of your hands?
Physics. It just is like the ball is kind of travelling more direct. The ball isn't coming in at a kind of a loopy height. It's just much easier to catch the ball when it's kicked. So, like, if someone kicks a 45 in and you go up to field that ball 9 times out of 10, you're catching it. But if someone is looping a high ball in and it's landed on top of you, that's much more difficult to get control of that ball.
So the mark number one.
The mark number one. I would love to see the solo and go. I think it's unbelievable. It speeds up the game so much, and I think they've tried so hard for so long in the men's game to kind of pull out that cynicism. And I know the black card was brought in and all that, but that solo and go has kind of done that itself, because there's no benefit in trying to slow someone down around the middle by putting in a foul. And, like, that exists a lot in women's football now at the minute, and, like, it's tactical and it definitely has its place, and look, I do it myself, but if that solo and go is brought in, like,
it changes it overnight,
I think. And I'd also love to see the 2-point arc.
I was hoping you were going to go there.
100%.
And it came up in the pay-per-view earlier on as to what distance it would be from. Would you
I can't. This is the thing. We play on the same pitch. You're not going to change the arc for the men and a women's game.
So it would be 40.
It'd have to be the 40 yard. But, like, this is the thing. If there is that reward of getting that extra point, that is going to be brought into training for a couple of years. So, like, yeah, fair enough. At the minute, there mightn't be a lot of, especially in kind of club scenes, there's not going to be a lot of girls who are going to be kicking accurately from that distance. But when we realise, like, well, this is actually a huge thing to have in our arsenal, that's brought into training, people start practicing it, they get better at it. I think it makes the game entertaining, and, like, it is great to see someone taking a shot from that far out and absolutely booting it wide as well. So, like,
out of 10, Roisin Byrne is standing up. What's your favourite? What foot are you, left or right?
I'm right-footed.
So you're standing up just left of the posts.
Yeah.
10 balls. What do you think? Have you tried this?
Yeah.
You definitely have. Go on.
I've given it. Look.
What sort of percentages?
I'd be hoping about 60 or 70.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I'd say some of the Kildare girls would disagree with me now.
Well, I've seen, like, I've through underage GA coaching, ended up on pitches where there's been men's teams out, and, you know, particularly when it came into the start and the whole team were trying it.
Yeah.
You know, just maybe a bit of novelty factor almost at the end of training, and the accuracy levels were minuscule.
Yeah, like again, it's a skill, and there is now that reward. Like, no one's going to be practicing shooting from that distance when it's worth the same as hand passing the ball over the bar. But you add in that extra point, and I know that there was that trial match in Abbottstown recently where they had I think there was 2 new rules introduced. It was the 4-point goal and the not going back past the halfway line. Yeah. So, like, do you know, like, it'd be interesting to see what they bring in out of the two of them, but I just think it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
For that extra point.
Could you go 35 metres? Are you talking about from a purely logistics point of view, like having the line physically on the pitch, or what?
Like, I can't imagine that they're going to. There's 2 lines there, 2 arcs now at the minute.
What is that other D?
I've asked a million times about this. I don't know.
Because you could make it some version of that D.
Extend that D. Extend that D a little bit. I think it's more for, well, in my head, it's more for, like, knowing your range and knowing where you're comfortable shooting. But, like, as well, it's tactically, like, you know, you're keeping the ball out of that area if you're defending a tightly packed defence, or if you're attacking a tightly packed defence. But, yeah, like, could you look at moving that out? I can't imagine there being 3 arcs on the pitch, so it's either going to be extend out that inside D or just use the 40-yard arc.
Yeah, they could use different colours to try and, like, there's obviously the practical implication of
there's been so many rules brought in the men's, and like it's great. I think one of the issues with these rules being brought in for the men this year was I felt that the pace and the kind of skill of women's football was getting towards the men's. It was quite entertaining to watch, but since the rule changes, I personally have found that the men's game is gone so entertaining to watch.
It is.
And we don't have that in the women, so like you'd worry down the line, is the men's going to continue to become a bit more exciting, and without these rules is ours going to lag a little bit behind?
Well, there should be a bit, somebody like the Hooter rule, for example, has worked out really well. I think for the men's games, brought in a level of drama at the end there that like you'd never had before. So like, why not a bit of vice versa? Like,
exactly,
particularly like, and also there's no need to wait until 2027.
Yeah.
There's not one thing that the FRC has absolutely proven that this all can be done, and we can make tweaks as we go on. And
we, like, this is the thing, it has to be brought in and you have to give players a chance to live it. So like, you know, I could say straight away that, oh God, I really want the 2-point arc. That could come in and it could just not work in women's football. And like, that's fine, but we have to have a chance to trial it and let the players live it. But I think I definitely have things I'd like to bring in from the women's, but there's a rule I'd love to see change in the men's, and I know it might be unpopular, but I think the pick up off the ground is just it's
ludicrous, like
so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the hill I will die on. I just think it slows the game down so much. It causes unnecessary penalisation to people who accidentally touch it on the ground. And I've had this talk with so many people, and there's one argument that always comes back to say, yeah, but when you're running at pace and you flick the ball up, like that still happens in women's football, like, and it will still happen in men's football. I just think it's an archaic rule, and I know some people will disagree with me.
Is there an unintended consequence of like lying on the ground with the ball or something like that? I don't know.
Well, like, you're not allowed, like in women's football, if your knee is on the ground, you're not, like, unless you're batting it away from yourself, you're not allowed to touch the ball. So like, I just think it speeds up the game a little bit.
So you can only pick it up like
when you're on your feet,
so
or if your feet are off the ground, but you cannot, if your arm is on the ground or your knees are on the ground, you're anyway off your feet, it's a free. It's touching the ball on the ground. So like, you know, you can't be lying and pull it into yourself.
I think it makes total sense. I've heard that from time to time. Makes sense to me. Is that your off the ball debut?
Yeah.
Amazing. Really
Thank
well
you.
done. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
No pressure like an All-Ireland final day of all days.
No, none.
And I was going to say, well, we'll have you back in loads, but like I know you'll be thinking, listen, I'll be playing football and I'll have no interest in coming in here, so
fingers crossed.
We'll see how we go. Roisin Byrne, thanks a million for that.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoyed it. It's 23 minutes past 6 on this Sunday evening. We've loads of reaction to get to, and we'll do that after these.
Off the ball on News Talk.
This weekend on News Talk, we've teamed up with Focus Ireland to encourage businesses, schools and communities to take part in the annual nationwide Shine a Light Sleep Out on Friday, October 10th. To sign up or donate, visit focusireland.ie.
The Rewind with Henry McKean. This is News Talk.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
It was the year of Back to the Future, Beverly Hills Cop, The Goonies, Nick Kershaw dominating the charts, Live Aid and Bob Geldof organising a global concert for Ethiopia watched by 2 billion people, France blowing up the Greenpeace Rainbow Warrior, and Ireland beat England at Lansdowne Road.